Alright, hello everyone, this is KoTH giving you a shoutcast and another game in the series from that clan war that I have been casting. There's still a lot more games to play, but then again, at the same time, I don't know who the clans are involved or if it's just really a King of the Hill. So we'll see what's going to happen here as we now have ZoiPros spawning as the red Protoss on the top left-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, on the bottom right-hand side, we do have a blue Terran player, all Korean up for me, so I don't know how to say his name. I'll just try to refer to them as red versus blue throughout the rest of the matchup. Now, this map, I have cast a game on it before, but unfortunately the name of the map is still in Korean. So I don't know the name of the map. I don't believe it's Daybreak, as someone else had suggested. It looks like Krevas, but it is in fact not Krevas, as we do have a full cross spawn position here. There is a very easy to take natural expansion on the inside of your own base. Should be very beneficial for any Terran or Protoss player to go ahead and try to establish that one particular base, as we now see a refinery first coming in from the Terran. So the Terran opening up with a refinery first, followed by a Rax, and this is going to be an aggressive tech move. Now, with this aggressive tech move, there are a number of options he could go for. He's going to be able to get that factory up right after this barracks complete, or yeah, this barracks completes. Perhaps he's not going to have enough minerals to really go for an orbital command, as we now see ZoiPros going for a fast Nexus. So two very different styles of play here, and I am curious as to what is going to go down as a gateway now being warped in, and we'll see who has the true advantage. 15 probes versus 15 SCVs now. We should be getting into an orbital command in just a few moments, as a probe now makes his way across the map. Does the probe perhaps know that it is full cross spawns? No, he does not. Takes a right turn, and it will be a little bit of time before he does scout his opponent. Now, these two very different strategies should open up into a just very different styles of play. You're going to see that the blue Terran player needs to deal a lot of damage to the mineral lines of ZoiPros. Meanwhile, ZoiPros is going to perhaps be a little bit defensive in the early portion of the game, hoping that Stalkers and perhaps an Observer and Photon Cannons should be able to push back perhaps Banshee harassment, or no, it is going to be Hellion harassment. So a Hellion harassment here in the map, and this is going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out. Already a Hellion is being trained. Not quite sure what the strategy is here at this point. It doesn't look like a starport is being added, as we are now building a stone. Starport is back over here. The probe now trying to make his way in. The probe, does he see it? I'm not sure. Does he see? No, he does not see the building. So that was a nicely done positioning there, as it is now going to be perhaps a Marine Hellfire cover drop. So a Marine Hellion Hellfire cover drop. Here a medevac could be added, as I don't see a second gas being added down, and this expansion, which is normally very well protected, is going to be open to a lot of harassment. A Zealot now coming around. The SCV does take a look, does see that the Nexus is already up, and right now he's praying and hoping that his medevac deals a lot of damage. The Hellions and Marines are already on the far side here. More Marines still being added, as we are now starting to get even more gas. Supply depots preventing Terran player from being supply blocked, as he needs to set up an expansion soon. Otherwise, ZoiPros, even if he loses 6 to 7 probes, will be able to instantaneously come back due to that double production. Hellions are now holding the Zelnaga Tower in the center. Marines and more Hellions still being added to the group. A medevac now starting to fly out. We'll see what is going to come of this, as we are now going into an additional refinery. So a double gas play. So this is a very strong tech build. Will it be enough, as there is currently a 7 harvester advantage by the red Protoss, and he's not even training probes right now. Perhaps just wanting to train up more units, get another round of units off of that warp gate, and that may be the important thing, as the Hellions gonna torch that one probe there. Down it goes. Now Stalkers and Zealots are in position. That warp gate tech is gonna finish just now. What is gonna happen? The Marines need to perhaps get some damage here. Getting in some damage. The Zealots have to be very careful. The Marines now firing back. There is the force field. The force field not working out all too well, as a Hellion does get taken down. The medevac now currently low on hit points, though, as we now see another round of chrono boost onto those warp gates, decreasing the cooldown as the Hellions now simply push up the ramp. No force fields any longer, but no more medevac. That was a huge loss, as the Marines are now going to try to continue this push here. Another Zealot does get taken down. Hellions now trying to push their way in, trying to make sure to line up even more damage still, as the Stalkers are now pulling back. The Stalkers are looking to be in very, very strong numbers, especially as the reinforcements are still coming in. The Hellion may be able to get off some kills there, as the Hellions really need to fight back on one medevac and a Marine, and losing that early medevac may have been too much, as that medevac tries to fly away. No go, it does get shot down, and now Zoya Pros in a very, very strong situation. His expansion is already up and running. He's going to get some additional build time and additional mining time. Taking a look at the total losses, about the same. Only 6 workers killed. So Zoya Pros now double training probes, getting assimilators, knows that he is in a very strong situation, knowing after that he fended off this attack. Now the Blue Terran player may try to sit back and relax just a little bit, or sorry, sit back inside his base and try to macro up a little bit. The problem with this situation, though, is that you know your opponent has a stronger economic advantage already. So if you sit in your base for far too long, then you're really not going to deal that much damage. A Banshee now on its way out. That Banshee hoping to get somewhere in the realm of 5 to 7 kills. In order to perhaps even up the score a little bit. This command center should have been started much sooner, because the command center wasn't started soon enough. He was now on unequal footing for a long time. There you see a 9 harvester advantage coming in for the Red Protoss, as the Banshee finally makes its way in. We should see an upgrade to an orbital command here. There you go, as the Banshee now looks to perhaps do some damage. The Stalkers are already in position. There are some observers already. The Banshee going to get 1 kill at most, perhaps 2 if he's lucky, as the Stalkers finally push him back. Fancy flying from that Banshee, as that Banshee pulls away once more. That Banshee didn't really deal the necessary damage, though. 41 to 33 SCVs. There is an observer sitting at the natural expansion here, as the orbital command should start calling in more mules and trying to train up more SCVs as well. SCVs are in production and doubly produced now, as we see what Zoya Pros wants to do. Zoya Pros just sitting back and not overreacting to anything. He knows that he has the economic advantage, as a probe is going to be able to perhaps slip by, get in another kill there. So far, this one Banshee has taken on 150 minerals worth of probes, plus their harvesting time. Meanwhile, Zoya Pros is retraining those probes and trying to perhaps take up a 3rd base here in just a moment, but not before getting in some additional gateways to just warp in Stalkers all across the map. The Ghost Academy is now being started and should be completed in just a moment. There is an observer. The observer was not flushed out, was able to hide back over here. He will keep track of when this expansion is established, and by keeping track of expansions, he knows essentially how much income his opponent has. Oh, poor observer, though, flying straight in sight of a Raven. The Raven detecting, and then the Marines completely shooting it down. Armor upgrades now coming in as well. That's going to be very effective against the Marines, who attack very quickly, but for a small amount. Armor much more effective there, as we now see Psystorm is being researched. So it's going to be Ghost versus Templars, and whoever sees each other first will win out on that battle, as a Zealot quickly takes down an SCV at the Zelnaga Tower. Zealots and Stalkers finally feel confident to make their way down the ramp. The Ghosts are now being trained as well. Mobius Reactor was not researched, so they are not going to have an EMP Shockwave right as they make their way out. Marines and Marauders simply pushing their way in. One poor Zealot gets taken out in just a matter of seconds, as a Marauder leads the way in order to scout out what his opponent has. A command center is being built at the same time as this Nexus over here, so both sides pretty much knowing that they need to establish something soon. A Zealot and Stalkers finish off that one poor Marauder as it walks straight in a little bit too quickly. You can see now there is still 1 Raven, 1 Siege Tank in the mix. Not 100% sure the reasoning behind that, as the Marauders and the Marines, trying to go after the High Templars. One High Templar, no, the High Templars were not taken down. So nicely done, as the Marines are now trying to go after the Zealots, the Siege Tanks, and the Marauders. The High Templars have to be very careful. And I was wondering what the Marauders were doing. The Marauders were trying to suicide themselves into the High Templars, but that didn't work at all, as the High Templars with some natural or some base armor was actually able to absorb the shots from the Marauders. Level 1 armor upgrades, preventing the High Templar from getting killed. A very valuable upgrade this time around. Medivacs now looking to do a drop over here. There are photon cannons and a High Templar in this group. The probes already noticing this, and now the High Templars just trying to run away. It looks like it won't even get a feedback off as a photon cannon gets taken down. No photon cannon down, and a perfect cancellation there. Nicely done, as the Marines now trying to fire back up onto the high ground. The Banshee has to be careful, but double feedback onto the Medivacs, as all the units are now forced to run away. Nothing happening over here on the front door. No split attack. But even if there was a split attack, it looks like the Red Protoss player was in position to fend it off, as the Medivacs are now simply retreating. 7 food worth of units here over on the Medivac. Meanwhile, coming back over here, you can see the orbital command is being upgraded. We are sitting on 1-0 upgrades, currently going into 1-1. Meanwhile, we have the Protoss going into 1-2 upgrades, and with a lot of High Templar. Those High Templars are going to be very strong in the coming battles, as Psystorm with some force fields, and then eventually some Colossi, as a robotics bay is being added, is going to really handle all of these Marines and these Marauders. Destructible rocks over here look like they will be destroyed very quickly. One Banshee still in the air, hasn't been killed, and very nice play from the Terran player so far, just making sure that he is not losing any of his units needlessly at all, but he is still behind about 21 food now, a total of 5 harvesters, 63 to 58. Medevac drop now happening over here, but no good at all. A feedback followed by a photon cannon, getting in some kills. Marines are back over here. A couple of Zealots will be warping in just a moment. The Marines attacking away will get a lot of damage onto this assimilator before the Zealots quickly make their way over and finish it off. Marines and Marauders simply trying to push across the center. There is one Banshee in this group and a lot of Zealots. High Templars are also here. That High Templar may just try to feedback. Oh, an EMP Shockwave, dealing a lot of damage, removing a lot of the energy there, as the Ghosts are now trying to come back in. The Ghost needs to get off another EMP. No EMP there, as both sides are engaging still. It looks like actually maybe an EMP did go off, as the Marines and the Marauders are trying to stutter step themselves away from those Zealots. The Zealots, however, simply may be too much, as now the Banshee gets feedback finally. That full energy Banshee, and now the Marauders and the Marines simply forced to retreat all the way back home, as the Zealot charge now activating, and the units simply chasing there. More Marauders and Marines now trying to get up onto that high ground. Will it be enough? The Zealots now pushing in off over here, trying to get a decent surround. What's going to happen as the shooting from the high ground onto the low ground? Stalkers are backing off. Zealots unable to push in along the backside here. What is going to happen as the Zealots are now running into the SCV line? Medevacs, as an orbital command now lifted off into the air. A lot of Medevacs in this group should rejoin up with the SCVs, Marauders, and Marines. They need to push their way and push themselves down in their own matchup, as the High Templars are now getting feedbacks onto the Medevacs and just taking the units down one at a time. Beautiful control by the Red Protoss player, and now simply exchanging his units, knowing that he has a superior army. Archons could be merged. It looks like all of these Templars will get taken out one at a time. And wow, after all of that really strong play coming in from the Red Protoss, losing a little bit of it there, and losing all of his High Templars, he wasn't able to retreat with them, and that is going to be a heavy loss. A Nexus now coming in from Zoya Pros here at the 12 o'clock position. Marines and Marauders now making their way off to the north. It looks like the Ghosts do have enough for an EMP Shockwave. 3 of them in total. So even the Archons will be very vulnerable if you can get past those 300 shields. Probes now being transferred down, and that is a significant number of probes. If the Marines and the Marauders are able to get there in time and shut down the Nexus, they will be able to reset things. The probes are trying to run away, not going to be able to escape at all. Well, one of them may, yes, one of them does escape there as this Nexus will go down. Photon cannons, probes all getting destroyed. There you go, 26 worker kills versus 24. But now, the red Protoss looking to do a strong counterattack of his own. May catch his opponent off guard. SCV is now trying to run back up the ramp. No sentries to cast any force fields down, as we are now doing a straight up drop into the space over here, but that's not looking good. One of those, that was a horrible, horrible loss there, as the Marines and the Marauders now simply trying to land, finish off a photon cannon, double feedback. Marines and Marauders going after more units, but Zoya Pros gonna handle this drop very easily, as more Marines and Marauders run straight into a group of Zealots. Ghosts are now coming in. Are they going to perhaps get off enough EMP or sniper rounds to finish it? As the main battle, 3 Colossi, High Templars now side-storming across multiple units, and I believe that will be the GG, as all the SCVs are down over here, and there you go, there's the GG coming in from the Blue Terran. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Kronos, I'm casting a game, and yep, thanks for watching, thanks for listening.